Coach Rich here with Coach Rich Fitness, and this is a mobility session to do post a run. Now, mobility is different to flexibility. Flexibility is the range of motion through the muscle, whereas we're looking at the ability to use the range of motion itself. So some of the things we're going to do is going to help increase our body's ability to move. So strong upward knee drive, good hip extension as well, and also proper glute activation. These are all key skills that we want to learn, which will help us long term as runners. So this 15-minute section that we're going to do right now is something I would recommend that you do at the end of every single run that you do. Whether it is a short mile run or even a 100k run, whatever you're running, come back, get in, grab yourself a drink, grab your mat, out on the floor, and do this. So the first thing we're going to look at is just a few very static holds through core usage. Okay, so we're going to do 10 seconds with the plank, front plank, side planks, and then back to the front plank. So off we go. That plank position, palms under shoulders, bum off the floor in that plank position that we all know and love from all the classes that we're doing. And remember, we're here for 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. And we're just going straight into the side plank. Whatever you prefer, whether it's the arm down or the elbow down, we're keeping the hips up and the hips forward as we hold it for 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. And then we're going to repeat on the opposite side as well. So bums off the floor, hips high for 10 seconds, okay? And we're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then we're going back on round to that front plank for 10 more seconds, just to finish off a little bit of core there. So 10 seconds, palms under shoulders, remember. You're balancing your dinner on your back. Good line drawn down from the shoulders to the hips to the ankles. There we go. So we're going to start off on our backs. Feet flat on the floor, shoulders flat on the floor, and we're doing hip raises for 6 repetitions. And we're looking to do a pause at the top of our hip raise, okay? So it's all nice and slow. We get to the highest part, there's a slight pause, and then slowly back down. So each one of these movements that we're doing, remember, we're looking for good control and time under tension the entire time. So that's 3. We're looking to do a total of 6 altogether. And when you do these movements, on the way back down, see if it takes just as long to come down as it does to go back up. One more repetition if you're following along with me. And back down, and that's 6. Good. 6 bridges, great work on the glutes, little bit on the hamstring, depending on where the angle your feet are in conjunction with your body. Now we're going to come over onto the side next, and we're going to go for a few movements, and then we're going to repeat each of these movements on the opposite side as well. So, clamshells first. Get comfortable on your side, however you want to be. If you want to lay in like a pose, poser's pose, or you want to come up on your arm. The important work that we're going to be doing is at the bottom of the body. Now what I want you to do at the bottom of the body is our ankles and the soles of our feet essentially are going to stay together. And we're just going to open our legs as far as possible, like a clamshell, okay? And once again, we're working on this for 6 repetitions. And just like with the hip bridge, it's very, very slow. And we're going to go all the way to the full range of motion before we bring it on back down. There's rep number 3. And the whole time, you're fighting against the body wanting to turn off your side hip, okay? So you're working as far open as you can. Here's rep number 5, okay? Without rolling off of that hip. Final rep. Lovely. Now we're going to challenge the leg and the hip joint and all of the surrounding muscles doing the opposite movement. So what is that? Well, this time, rather than the foot being our pivot point, the knee is now going to be the pivot point. So now we're raising the heel. And once again, we're going through 6 slow and controlled repetitions. And we're trying to keep, once again, our hips, your armpits, your shoulders, whatever you're balancing on in the upper body, flat on the floor. Okay? We're not turning too far into it. We're not allowing ourselves to come off that base that we set as we try and get the biggest range of motion as we open up the ankles. There's repetition number 5. I've got one more to go. Great stuff. And we're going to repeat that same motion, but this time we're going to float the knee up. Okay, so we start with our legs slightly apart. Once again, we're keeping our hip and our upper body on the floor as we go through the same idea. And we are trying to freeze that knee in position, and that's our pivot point, remember. There's number 3, and it's just going through the biggest push of that heel away from the opposite heel as well. Number 4. And once again, just think of the nice, slow, controlled pace. There we go. And back down. Lovely. Okay, now we're going to switch on round to the opposite side as well for those clamshells. So get nice and comfortable in that upper body. Remember, if you're on the shoulder, if you're up on the elbow, wherever you are, that entire line that you're balancing on before you start the clamshells is what we're looking to keep on the floor the entire time. So pivot point, we're back down to the ankles and we're just opening up, okay? Nice and slow, and there's a pause and then it's back down. Maybe you want to counterbalance by keeping the hand all the way out in front of you, just to help be supportive. There's number 3. And remember, we're going to 6. And try and think about that rhythm. 1, 2, 3. I've got a pause, and then I've got 1, 2, 3. There's control. Making every movement. There's number 5. We got one more to go. Every movement is done with purpose. Now, knee point is the pivot, remember, as we do the reverse clamshells. This time, we're parting the feet. So now we're pivoting at the knee as we open on up. And you'll notice it gets very intense, especially when we get to the end of that range of motion. If we've kept the knees together and we've got a pause, it gets very intense up around the top of our legs, okay? There's number 5. And then obviously we're going into the air version of this as well. So remember, the knees come apart, probably about the distance of a football or a pillow, something along those lines. And then we repeat the movement as well. For a total of 6 reps, we're trying as best we can, and this is all about body control, to keep those knees parallel to each other on this movement. Try and keep them at the same distance the entire time. Try not to turn the body into it, as I've done 5 there. Here's my last one. And number 6. Excellent. Okay, so once again, we're going back to we're continuing with the single leg movement. We're going to do all the ones down one side of our body, and then we're going to switch on over and do them to the other side. And we're basically just doing some leg raises, okay? So, we're from the side position again, nice and relaxed once again. If you want your arm out on the armpit on the floor, or we're up on the elbow, however's comfortable for you today. And we're going to do 3 sets of 6 reps of basically just opening the legs. Now the big difference between all 3 is where our toes are pointing. Now depending on your body's range of motion, how happy your legs are, how many kind of different movements that you've done around your legs and how much control you have over them, depends which one of these may be more difficult than others. Okay, so just take that into account. The first set of 6, I'm going to ask you to try and point your toes down towards the floor. So if we just lie normally like I am now with toes pointing out as if I'm standing. So now we rotate the toes down towards the floor and we do 6 straight leg raise as high as you can, whilst trying to keep that toe down as far as you can,
pointing to the floor. Now as you raise it, there's rep number 3 for me, you may notice that the toe goes from pointing down to slightly pointing towards the front of the room. And that's okay, but we're just actively trying to keep that toe pointed down. And I've got one more repetition now. Remember, 6 of each. And next, we do 6 more with the foot in that neutral position. So just like straight out in front of you, pointing the same way as the knee. Once again, you're going through the biggest range of motion. It's nice and slow and controlled the entire time. Give yourself a slight pause at the top if you can. Just for a nice little bit of extra range of, a nice little bit of extra time under tension. It's number 5 for me there. So one more coming up. And then the final one we're going to do is, yep, you may have guessed it, it's going to be the toe pointing up to the ceiling. So toes facing up as much as we can. We're holding the entire body, we're not allowing it to fall forward or backwards. And then we're going straight leg once again through another 6 repetitions. And so once again, what we've done is with these seemingly the same movement, but because we've rotated the leg in different angles, okay, by turning that toe different angles, you're actually getting different parts of the body, of the leg, working. So we're strengthening not just certain muscles and our body's our brain's ability to control those muscles, but also the interconnecting tendons, the ligaments, and the stabilizing muscles as well. So not just major, but minor as well, which is really, really great. Okay, so same 18 reps from the opposite side, so not from the opposite side, from the opposite leg. And remember, so we're set, we're comfortable, we're happy, toe pointing down as much as we can, heel high through 6 repetitions. And it's a straight leg, remember. Nice and slow and controlled. And if you can at the top, give it a little pause as well. Now some of these may prove to be incredibly tiresome, especially if you've just come in off of a long run. But sometimes, now toes facing forward for 6 repetitions. Sometimes when we're trying to do certain mobility work, certain strength work, it can pay dividends to do it on tired muscles. One of the things that your brain has to do when you're working with tired muscles is to be a little bit more efficient with what it's doing. It has to do more with less energy, if you will. So sometimes it's okay to work when you're tired. We've got one more to go, so your body can become a little bit more efficient. Final one then of our set of 6 is that toe pointing up. And once again, we're trying to go nice and close, nice and slow, controlled, and getting as much range of motion out of this as possible. There's number 3. 2 more to go. And number 6, there we go. Excellent. For these next 5 exercises, we're going to be working from the tabletop position. And when we talk about the tabletop position, what we want is we want hands under shoulders, we want knees under hips, and we want a flat back position. And we're going to start with a donkey kick. And all we're looking to do is we're keeping the bent leg that we've got set up in this tabletop position, and we're just rotating the leg backwards, the sole of the foot to the sky. So we maintain that tabletop position, rotate up as far as your range of motion is going to let you go, and back down. And we're looking to do 8 in total. And you'll notice very quickly that you start to lean all of your weight onto one side, and you may feel the weight through your, let's say your right hand, if you're doing your right leg, disappears a little bit as you put more weight onto the other side. See if you can maintain a good balance through both hands as we go. And I think that's number 7 now. Last one coming in for me. 8. Good.
And each time you're feeling the squeeze in the glute, the bum, as you get to the top of your range of motion. 8 more with the opposite leg now. Once again, we're trying to keep a good root through our palms into the floor. And also we're trying to keep as much of our weight distributed evenly through both sides. Got a slight pause at the top. That's rep number 5, 6, 7. Let's see if we can keep away the hip tilt. And there's number 8. Good stuff. Okay, donkey kicks done. Now we're going to do what I call the whip. Okay, so we're taking ourselves, so we're still in this tabletop position, and we're bringing our knee out towards the side. Okay, so in this position, as high as you can raise the knee, and then we're just going to rotate it backwards, so the knee is facing back, until we bring it back to the side. And we're doing that 8 times. So what it looks like, knees up, and we kick back, and then we bring up. So we've got a total of 8 of those. Number 2. Number 3. So we're just rotating the hip. 4. That knee goes facing back, facing to the side the entire time. And hopefully you're not working right next to a wall like me, so that's not impeding your range of motion the entire time. When I do it from this way, we'll see you can go round as far as your range of motion is going to let you that leg travel round. Hopefully you haven't got a wall in the way. So, same again for the other leg. Remember, we're on 8 repetitions, tabletop position, nice and sturdy. So we bring the knee up to the side, and then it rotates all the way round, and then back up to the side. All the way round, and then it just rotates around. And if you can keep your knee up at that good, same height throughout, that's what we're keying on. Nice and high. We've got lots of great work coming in on the glute. Our hip flexors are getting a bunch of work as well. There's number 6, 7, 1 more to go, 8. Lovely. Okay. Whew, so far so good. Next movement then we've got for a set of 8 is going to be fire hydrants. So we stay from our tabletop position, and we're just opening up and then back down. So we're just going up and down, opening the door, closing the door if you will, like so. And remember, we're going for a total set of 8. There's 4, 6, 7, last one, 8. Lovely. And then we go ahead and we do the same on the opposite side. Remember, nice and controlled. We're trying to get that pause at the top if we can. And very, very slow. Time under tension. Off we go. So 8 in total. Try not to collapse through one of those 2 hands. Think about your weight distribution. And we're making, remember, every movement nice and purposeful. Number 6. 7, 8. Lovely stuff. We're now just taking our legs through a rotation. 8 times forward, 8 times backwards. Okay, so the leg's going to come out at the back. The knee's traveling high through the biggest range of motion it can, all the way to the front till it comes back down to our start position. Okay, good big range of motion as much as you've got on it. 8 forwards, and then 8 backwards. Remembering that whole time we're keying that tabletop position. Right, 8, let's go, off we go. Biggest range of motion you've got in that knee. 2, 3. Bonus points if you can keep your leg off the floor the entire time. 5, 6, 7. Try and keeping that knee as high as you can. 8. And then we're going 8 backwards as well. 1, 3, 4, 5. Last one then, if you're keeping up with me, 8. Lovely stuff. And then we do exactly the same on the other leg. 8 one way, 8 the other. Tabletop position. Let's go. So we're going 8, remember, one way. Biggest range of motion that you've got today. Trying to draw the line with the knee. There's number 5 for me. 6, 7, 8. And then we go the opposite way as well. 1. Just to unwind it. 3, 4, 5. Last few to go. There we go. 8 done. Excellent. So the last thing we're going to do is just some nice, slow and controlled cat-cows. So with these, we're dropping the belly as close to the floor as we can and then raising our back up to the ceiling as we can. Anyone who's done yoga knows what this movement is. So we're in that cat-cow position. Head comes up, bum comes up, belly goes to the floor. Let's hold it for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going opposite. So head goes down, back comes high. We're pushing away from the world. Hips are lower now. And we hold it for 1, 2, 3. And we're going all the way back again. 1, 2, 3. Now we're coming back out of it. Shoulders high, hips low. For 1, 2, 3. Let's go back again. Belly's down, bum's high, head's high. 1, 2, 3. Let's go ahead, go the opposite. Nice and slow in there. 1, 2, 3. Then we got our last round to go. Head high, bum high, hips low. 1, 2, 3. And let's go all the way back for our final bit. 1, 2, 3. Lovely. Okay, so that is a post-run mobility flow for you to do. It's going to be really great for you to help you become much more efficient and move much better through your running mechanics. And believe me, the more you can get this involved at the end of your runs, become a habit in what you do week in and week out, the more it's going to help you long term. My name's Coach Rich Lindsay Fitness, and this is our mobility work for Couch to 50k. Go ahead and leave a like or a comment, and I'll see you next time.